There we go, rolling. Anyway, so what we've been doing is we've been working on rolls, and the way that we're working on them is rolls on a major scale. So we're using G major, and we're doing a roll on each note of the scale except for the open strings. You understand what I mean? And so it's a way to practice the roll itself, the ornaments itself, getting good at it, getting better at it on every note in the key, depending on what key. And then the big project is playing Dr. O'Neill's, which is a great tune. Do you play that tune, Janet? You do? Oh, that's great. Semi? It's a bite to chew. It's a lot going on in that tune, especially with the ornaments. So we learned it last week, and we're going to start practicing it today. Okay? The other thing we're working on. Sounds good there, Mel.
The sheet music for that.
I did send it.
I got it. I seem not to have it.
Here, I'm going to double check. Just one sec. Just going to double check here. Oh yeah, okay. There, yeah, Sue's gonna miss tonight. She's got too much going on with work. Okay, and we're doing the Drunken Landlady set, yes. Okay, Dr. O'Neill's. Okay, I did send it. I'll send it again there, Susan, to you. Susan Blazer. There we go. Okay, I've just sent that out. So yeah, so we're using the tune to work on rolls because, as you know, Dr. O'Neill's is packed with rolls, and it's a beautiful tune. I love playing that tune. I still play it. So we're also working on a set, the Drunken Landlady, the Maid Behind the Bar, and the Wise Maid. And what we're working on with that set is getting it up in tempo. Okay. And I'm not sure exactly where we left it off, but these guys will remind me with the metronome, and we'll keep working on that set. Okay? So I think to get started, why don't we just practice the regular old G major scale in 2 octaves, with no fancy rolls or anything like that, just the regular old scale. So we'll practice that. We'll practice the arpeggio, and then we'll get into our rolls. Okay? Let's do it. I'm going to check my fiddle because it's been since this afternoon that oh, why is the new different microphone? That's weird. Just one sec here. Input external mic. Should be okay. Okay. So the tuner is froze. Diana. Okay. Okay, so I'm in tune now. And I'm just going to mute everybody here. And we're going to practice our G major. Okay, scale first. Nice and easy, not too fast. And Janet, we usually do scales first, and we do it in 2 ways. We do a slow one where everybody can tune their notes to me. So we have lots of time to tune your note if you find you're not quite bang on with me. And we'll do that with the arpeggio too. And then we do a quicker one. And the quicker one is for you to test your batting average and see how you did. Give yourself a percentage type of thing. And then whatever notes you're concerned about, we'll work on them. Okay? So first of all, we'll start off with the nice, slow G major scale. And I got my tuner on, so you can trust me. Okay, here we go. All ready, go! right, now mine was bang on. How's everybody else feeling? Pretty good? Okay, let's do the arpeggio, same speed. Alrighty, go. Again, I had pretty good results that time. My B on the G string, I had to bring it in. It was a tiny bit flat, but I just pressed harder. How did everybody else do with the arpeggio? Feeling pretty good? Okay, good. So now let's speed her up and we'll start our target practice, okay? So we're going to do the scale followed by arpeggio, a little bit quicker. See how you get along. A 1, 2, 3, go! I would give myself 98% there because there was a couple of notes, 2 notes in particular that I had to quickly tune. There was a low B and an F, or sorry, an E for some reason, not usual for me, but I had to press a bit harder to get them in tune. How's everybody else feeling? What would you give yourself? Give yourself a mark there, and we're going to do it again. You're going to try to remember what notes contributed to your not 100%. Okay, when we do them again, special attention to those. For me, it was E on the D string and B on the G string. And the B on the G string is a bugger for everybody. B for bugger. Let's do it again. A 1, 2, 3, go! Arpeggio for a strengthener. A 1, 2, 3, go. All right. Everybody's hand getting warmed up in the key of G there? Getting familiar? Oh, that's very good. Okay, do you do much of this scale work there, Janet? Is that something that you've done? Oh, good. That's great. Because I always insist tunes are made of scales and arpeggios. And if you know enough, then you pretty well have all the tunes. You just got to make sure you know what bits to use. Okay, very, very good. So now, let's take a look at our set. The Drunken Landlady, followed by the Maid Behind the Bar, followed by the Wise Maid. Okay? Do you need music for any of those, Janet?
Only if it is really easy to send it.
It is really, really easy to send it, yes. It's the amazing wonders of the internet. So,
okay. As long as you don't have to look for it, then
no.
Sure.
Wise Maid. Now, I know that there are tunes you already play. Like, I know that for sure. But, okay, I'm sending you everything. I'm sending you everything here.
Thank you.
No problem. But what I did is I went through the session.org and I curated the versions, because you know what the session.org is like. It's the Wild West of tunes. Anybody can put anything up there and say that it's the Drunken Landlady. So I go through and I pick what I call the cleanest dirty shirt. And I send it to you guys, and I talk about what bits might be not quite there, but it's better that way anyway, because there's so many versions of these tunes. It's better to be open to them than to, be nailed down to one. So we work with the best one on the session.org, and I always mention what might be a little different if you're out there in the world with the 8 notes flying around. Okay? So I just sent you the email, and it's got all the tunes on there, but you can pick out the ones we're working on, the Drunken Landlady, the Maid Behind the Bar, and the Wise Maid. Okay? Now, can anybody remember a metronome marking for how we got along last time? Because we pushed it a little bit last time, but I can't remember where we left off, and I should have wrote it down.
We pushed it to 85, but that was way too fast for me even, so...
Okay, well, that was a goal. That's a goal tempo at this point, not a practicing tempo. It would be great if it got up there for a practicing tempo, but for tonight, let's back her up. Let's back her up to 70 or 75. You know what? Let's start with 70. Why not? We're going to do the whole set. We'll do it a few times. So we'll start with 70, and then we'll go up to 75, and then we'll have a crack at 85. See what goes wrong. Okay? So let's see. So I'm going to put my metronome on so you can trust me. Because nobody ever trusts me. They think I'm speeding up on them without them realizing it. 70. But I got this metronome going here. Now I'm going to turn the sound off of the metronome because it really bothers a lot of people. But I got it going and flashing at me, so I will keep you all in line. Don't worry. Okay? And we're doing them 2 times each. There, Janet. Okay, Drunken Landlady. So just to remind you what it's going to sound like at 70. Okay, somewhere about there. Shall we give it a try? Oh, we forgot our rolls. I forgot to do roll practice, but you know what? We'll do it before Dr. O'Neill's. It's more important than anyway. Okay, here we go. Drunken Landlady at 70. 1, 2, 3. right, that was the 3 tunes at 70. Now, everybody pretty well looked like they were cheerfully just moving along there with those tunes, but all I have to go by is looks, so I'm not really sure. So how are we feeling at 70? Anybody, it's not happening. Is there anybody where it's not happening? Can't do it.
I've got a lot of work to do.
Happening for me.
I got a lot of work to do.
Is that right?
Yeah, me too. I gotta get familiar with the tunes.
Okay. And anyone in particular, or is it just all 3 of them?
Well, I guess I must have practiced the first 2, and then because when we went to the Wise Maid, I was like completely lost. But I was fumbling with my papers too.
Oh yeah.
But you know, so I guess it's just a matter of practicing more but yeah, I guess the first 2 I was not too bad, sort of catching up. But
Yeah. Well, the last one, I'll tell you, the Wise Maid is a bite to chew. It's kind of relentless. Like, it's it's got a lot of 8th notes, and it just keeps, like, the endings seem very, kind of drawn out and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a bite to chew. So it's not unusual that you would have trouble with that one. And we'll go over it on its own because it's the most recent one out of the 3. And like I said, there's a few things going on there. Those arpeggiated sections with the string crossings, and that might be getting in your way. So the reason I asked, when we go at a tempo like that, the reason I asked is to see what might be getting in your way of the tempo, right? And when you go fast, that's when it shows up. For most people, for a lot of people in that tune there, all that string crossing can slow them down, okay? And it's because, well, for most people, it depends on yourself, I'm not sure, but too much elbow in the game with that string crossing. See that? Because you can't, it's too big. It's hard work to move the bow using your whole arm. And plus, the weight of your arm pushes the bow around. Makes you go on other strings you don't want to. And with this tune here, especially in those endings, there's a lot of string crossing. So that might be one of the things that's hard. Do you find that when you got, or is it just kind of the whole tune in general?
Well, it's a bit the whole tune in general, but for sure, string crossing.
Yeah.
I'm really vigilant at using my wrist and my hand to push, as opposed to my elbow. I'm really working at that because learning classically, I never did anything like that.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely I have to really work at my speed and just moving my wrist and my hand as opposed to the elbow for sure.
And I showed you guys hand, arm, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good.
That
was
the key.
really, really good.
So that's the key to getting bowing with your hand, is doing that exercise. With the string crossing, if you're practicing it, which I'm really glad to hear that you are, using the doorway is going to help. Let's take a little bit of the pressure off of you trying to keep your elbow steady and put something there that will keep it steady. Okay? Because thinking about it is hard. And 90% of the time you stop thinking about it and she starts going again. You know what I mean? So the doorway might hasten proceedings a little bit for you there, Jocelyn. Okay?
Okay.
But also, we'll slow that tune down and we'll do it right slow. Now, how about you, Elizabeth? What stopped you? Did anything stop you at 70?
Well, I'm doing everything I can to memorize these tunes because it's the reading that's slowing me down.
Oh.
So I mean, I'm good at reading, but I still think it's better to have them memorized and just go from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was, I know, it was probably last week, but you said, try singing it to yourself.
Yes.
So if you know how to sing it, then that really helps, and that was great advice.
And you're doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then it's not going to take long. One other thing, if you're somebody that sometimes it can be an affliction being good at reading. Because you can just not use your ears, plain and simple, for years. And I remember my brother Sean was an excellent sight reader, and but my dad used to, like, he had the opposite problem. He was really good ears, right? Really good ears. He'd get tunes just like that. And I remember my dad used to make him read to get good at reading. We'd be at the Cape Breton Fiddlers practices, and the guy would play the tune that we were all going to learn. And Sean would just play it, and he's looking at the sky, he's looking over here, and I could see my dad making him watch the music, because he had the opposite problem. He was so good by ear, he didn't bother to read the music, and so he needed to do that. But what you need to do is you need to think about these tunes in terms of phrases. Okay? And the Wise Maid is a classic first phrase, second phrase, first phrase again, ending tune. It's exactly like that. The second part, exactly the same. So if you think of those phrases, it's less to remember, right? Because instead of 8 bars of music, you actually really only have to remember, say, about, I don't know, like the first couple and the last couple and that middle phrase. That's all you need to remember, rather than like the whole sentence. See what I mean? So think about that in terms of phrases. That's my best advice, because it's a lot easier for those little bits to stick in your head than the whole tune. Okay? So, and we'll do that. We're going to work on this last one anyway. Anybody else want to tell me what stopped you if you did have to stop at 70? What's that now, Susan?
It's just my fingers get in the way.
I have heard that expression a lot. My fingers get in the way. So, what do you mean by that exactly?
That means the faster I go, the less likely they are to know where they're supposed to be.
You mean like intonation, bad intonation, or knowing what note comes next?
It might be a tune I can play slowly.
Okay.
Without looking at anything, but once you speed it up,
yeah,
it just disappears a little bit.
Okay. I think maybe you need a bit of the same approach as Elizabeth, thinking about it in terms of phrases. All right? Because the thing is that if you do miss a phrase because you're going fast, right? If you think about it in terms of phrases, then you know what's coming again. All right? And you can be ready for it. You can get ready for it. A lot of people do it with the endings. And I gotta say that I think that's a great approach, because so many tunes, the endings are the same for the first part and the second part. Like, it ends up being the most repeated phrase of the tune. Because, and this is, I think the Wise Maid is like that, isn't it? No, it's not. No, this is not a twofer, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. But many tunes are. So a lot of people just start with that. You got to try to get one of those phrases in your head really, really solid. Okay? So I think you're having a similar problem to Elizabeth. Anybody else having problems they want to talk about?
I find with the speed, like on the 8th notes, I can't keep up at 70. So then I lose, and then I have to wait till the next bar comes up and figure out where I'm supposed to be. And I haven't memorized it either. So in phrasing, you're attacking in phrases, but then again, you need to memorize that phrase. So
yeah. And you're right, you do have to memorize, but one thing to do is try not to think about it as memorizing. Try to think about it as understanding the phrase. The fact that it couldn't be different than what it is. Okay? And it reminds me of kind of the old-fashioned way of getting these tunes back in the day when everybody had jobs on top of playing tunes, and you didn't get to play tunes that much. It would be like every couple of weeks or something like that. You get together with somebody to play a tune, and you'd learn it. And this is an old story. You'd learn the tune, and then you go back to the farm or wherever it is that you work, and you're thinking about the tune, and you're singing it in your head, and you reinvent it in all kinds of different ways, And then you get back together with your buddy, and he plays it, and your mind goes, "Oh, of course!" It couldn't be any other way, that is really still the best way to do it. Nobody has time these days to do it like that. But it really is the best way. So I think that you're going to get it more than you might think. If you think about it as understanding, as a simple sentence and a response, it's going to stick more. But here's what I suggest. Let's go to 60, okay? And we're going to do the wise maid, and we're going to do it like 3 times at 60. And hopefully some of these phrases are going to start sinking in. Can I show you, before we start, I'm going to show you the phrases involved in the wise maid. So we got the first phrase. Okay, that's the first phrase. I'm going to do it again. It ends on the D there. And then we got the second phrase, this little high part with a triplet. Okay, I'm going to do it again. And then we got the first phrase again. And then we got the second phrase slightly different, and that's the ending. Okay, so those are the 3 phrases of the first part. First phrase, second phrase again, first phrase, second phrase, first phrase again, and the ending. In this case, the ending is almost the same as the second phrase. Now, the second part. What's that, Mel?
I just have to share that I introduced this set to the Hermitage group I've been jamming with, and they're finding it challenging, and it's a bunch of different musicians, like there's only one other fiddle player, and they're having difficulty getting their heads wrapped around all this. They said, Mel, you picked the difficult ones, thanks.
Well, it'll be good. It'll be a challenge. It'll be really good. Now let's take the second part. We got the first phrase. See that? That's a lovely introduction there. I'm going to do it again. Long D. And that's pretty much an arpeggio. And then we got this string crossing thing. And then we got exactly the same pattern on the other set of strings. See that? Same pattern. And then we got this little kind of funny bit. And that's not repeated. And then you got your ending. So it's more complicated. We don't just have first phrase, second phrase, first phrase again, ending. This is a little more complicated, certainly. Okay, I'm going to go through those again. We got the first phrase. The second phrase. Same pattern, different strings. Ending. Is everybody hearing those phrases now distinctly from each other a little bit better? Okay, good. Let's do it. 60 beats a minute, and we're going to play this 3 times for the practice. So get your bow and arm in order. Do your stretches if you need to or whatever. Oh, I certainly do. Okay, here we go. So just to give you an idea of 60, it's going to sound like this. Okay, let's do it. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3, go! that speed? Oh, that's great. Okay, very good. So we'll keep working on it until we get it kind of more up there. Let's try now. Let's try the first two tunes, but we're going to try them up at the 80. We'll try them at 80, okay? And we're going to leave this one. So the key to playing the Wise Maid fast, guys, is to, number one, keep trying your best to sing the tune, note for note, in your head. And get familiar with those phrases. So that's first of all. Second of all, technically, in a technical aspect, the string changing. Keep working on that. Remember the exercises. Down on the G, up on the A. Down on the D, up on the E. And the other way around. Up on the E, down on the D. No sound on the A string. Up on the A, down on the G. No sound on the D string. Because you're working on trying to change strings like this rather than like this. Okay? So that's a really good string changing. Also, don't forget this one here. ABBA. And then this is the hardest one. That's the spread and scoop. Spread for the A, scoop for the E, because the E is straight up and down with the bow. Okay, so those are what's going to get you through the Wise Maid. We'll keep working on it until it reaches the level of the other two tunes so that we can increase the speed of the whole set. But for now, let's up it to 80 and do the first two tunes and see how we get along. All right, now this is going to be a little shocking because we just finished it at 60, so it's going to seem pretty quick. I'll give you an example. Okay, that's what we're going to do. 2 times each, Drunken Landlady, Maid Behind the Bar. And you guys got a plan for Wise Maid. Here we go. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3. success rate? A little quick there, Jocelyn. What would you say you had? Did you have medium success? Yeah? Okay. How about you, Mel?
I was on the repeat of the Made Behind the Bar, but I got as far as the second line when you stopped.
So you were behind me.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
I was on the second round, but yeah. Like
Okay.
3 parts behind, so.
What about the Drunken Landlady? Were you with me on the Drunken Landlady?
For the most of it, I think.
Yeah, that one's a little simpler, eh?
Yeah.
Little less notey, for sure. Okay. Anybody else want to give me a status report with the Drunken Landlady and the Maid Behind the Bar? Medium? Okay. And that was 80. So that's kind of 85 is our big goal. So if you were kind of medium at 80, we're doing pretty good. Okay? Just keep working on it on the slow. And that's the key. Anything you want to play fast, you got to practice a million times slowly. That's, what's his name, Yehudi Menuhin's old saying, if you can't play something fast, it's because you haven't played it enough times slowly. Unfortunately. Although I do insist that playing fast is a skill unto itself. And the more you try to do it, the more success you will have. And I always point to when I first came to Toronto and I was trying to get all the Irish music, playing along with D. Danon Records. Okay? D. Danon is one of my favorite bands, and the Baki Band as well. And Kevin, and then it's, I went down a rabbit hole after that of recordings. It was in those days when you could download recordings. Remember those days? Using, like, Kazaa was one of the programs. There was another program. And I would just download this music and try to play along with it. And at first, when I first tried to do it, I did not have a really high success rate. I got about 2/3 of stuff. But the more I did it, the more started to fit in there. And so it is something that you should have a crack at, and that's why we did it. And when you go fast and you have problems, just try to identify them, and that's how you're going to get rid of them when you do want to go fast again. Now, how'd you get along with all that, Janet?
Good, thank you. That was good.
No problems?
Yeah, I like playing them. Yeah,
oh, good.
Thanks.
Okay. And the story with the set is that she was the landlady of the tavern, but she was a drunk. So then she lost it, and she got demoted to the Maid Behind the Bar. But she's much wiser for the experience at the end. You know what I mean?
I like that. That's really good. I need little tricks like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So we'll leave that for now, there, guys. We'll keep. So you know what you have to do. You have a good plan for the wise maid, mostly having to do with getting more familiar with the phrases. Okay, and with the drunken landlady and the Maid Behind the Bar, 80 is your kind of teetering point there. 80 on the metronome. So practicing it back of that, 75 if you have good success, 70 if you have better success. Keep doing that this week. Don't let anything stop you, okay? And then we'll try again for the 80 there next week, all right? Any questions about any of that stuff? That's great. Now, before I go on, I want to show you guys something. I want to show you the status of my house construction, because it's kind of cool. Check this out. Oh, whoops. It's in my inbox. Here it is. So this is what my house looks like now. See that?
Wow.
Pretty cool, eh?
How many stories is it going to be?
2 stories. Here's the 2 stories. Here, this was the main floor that was there before, but it's now 10 feet high inside. And then here, this is the 2nd story, and that's 9 feet. So I got to admit that it's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. A lot taller. It's basically the tallest house on the street now. But anyway.
And how are your neighbors feeling about that?
Well, they don't care about that, but what I do feel bad, they're happy that there's going to be a brand new, a nice house, because before it was pretty fallen down before. It had lots of problems. But the main thing that I'm worried about is that one of the framers, on the first day of framing, dropped something from here, and it landed on the electrical meter and busted it, right? Like completely busted it. It's gone. So they've been, and Toronto Hydro has to come and fix it, which takes a long time. So they've been using a generator, and it is so loud. Oh my God.
Oh.
And I feel awful, but there's nothing I can do about it, you know. But they'll be stopping with the generator there apparently by the middle of this week. So not too bad. But that's the main thing about my neighbors that I'm worried about is that damn generator.
So are you going to have a front porch anymore?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's going to be much nicer than the original front porch. So she's coming along pretty good. And then one other funny story to relate is that, I don't know if you guys heard in the news, but Randy's Patties, Jamaican Patties on Eglinton is finished. Like, they shut down, eh? And I've been going to that place for 20 years. I love the place. I love the people there. And so I told Jennifer, Saturday was the last day they were open. So I told Jennifer, I gotta go wait in the lineup and get the last patties from Randy's, you know, like, it's really important. She was like, yep, absolutely. So I went there at 11 o'clock. They open at 11. I got there at 11, and the lineup was down Eglinton, down Oakwood, and up the street south of Eglinton. The whole street filled with people. And so I'm sitting there waiting. And of course, after a while, a guy with a ghetto blaster shows up in a little wagon. He starts blasting reggae music, and the whole line takes on kind of a rhythm, you know. And 7 hours I waited in that lineup, and I still didn't get my patty because Jennifer was going to the symphony, and at 6:30 I'm in front of the door, right? But I had to leave because she had to leave at 6:45, so I had to leave. And all the people I was in line with were like, what? No, don't give up. Don't give up. You've been here all day. But I had to go. And what a drag. But what a day. Like, it was very eventful. A lady fainted. They had to take her away in an ambulance in front of the place. There was a couple of almost fights in front of the face because it was just a pressing of people for the patties. Like, everybody just really, because it's a huge part of the neighborhood. I can't believe it's gone. It's like many people were saying that it's the death knell for the neighborhood. Like, Randy's is going, that's going to be it. It's going to be Pizza Hut and Starbucks now. And I tend to believe them. It's really unfortunate. But one of the funniest parts was halfway through the day, this red-haired tall guy with a man bun comes out and he's telling everybody in the lineup, sorry everybody, they're all out of veggie patties. And all the Jamaicans that are in line with me are like, what? Who cares? But he kept it going. He kept the whole line. He kept saying, you know, sorry, no veggie. And he kept getting the reaction, what? Who cares?
So you should get the recipes and set up a booth on your front porch and play with music.
Yeah, really, eh? Oh my God. So sorry to see it go, but it was quite a day. Even though I didn't get my patties, I'm glad I did it because it was, you know, you don't get an experience like that every day, that's for sure. Anyway, okay, on to the Dr. O'Neill's. So first of all, let's practice our rolls on the major scale because we neglected to do that earlier. So G major scale with a roll on each note, and I'm just going to go grab some water, so I'll be right back. You guys kind of get used to that idea. G major scale with a roll on each note. I'll be right back, and we'll do it. Okie dokie. Rolls. Sorry, Jerome?
Aren't you supposed to be done?
Not quite, no. A little bit left. Mom and Sylvia will be home in a minute, though.
How long?
Any minute now.
No, I mean, how long until you're done?
45.
Okay.
Okay. That's my boy Jerome. He's up cooking something. Okay, so rolls on a major scale. So let's see here. Such a nice, when you get this moving nice, it sounds great. So, G major, and it's going to sound like this. Think we can do it at that speed? Let's try. Nice and easy. A 1, 2, 3, go! How did we get along? It was nice and slow. Gives you a chance. You getting the idea with that, Janet? And when you hook them up, the rolls, they move along, take on a rhythm. Very good practice. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get each one to be exactly the same rhythm. Okay? Yum diddly yum for each one. Let's do it again right away, ladies. A 1, 2, 3, go. Still pretty good? Anybody having any problems with any of the rolls? First finger roll, second finger roll, or third finger roll? The hardest, purportedly the hardest. I find the second finger roll pretty hard too. We're doing good? Okay, so yes, Susan.
Fourth finger on the G string is really hard.
It is. So to do it, I have to crank that elbow right over. You see that? Mm-hmm. And it puts my hand, look what happens to my hand when I do that. See how it's right over the strings?
Okay.
Now it's not too much of a reach, but it's all, it is always going to be a reach. That the C roll is notorious, right? And it's notorious with the left hand, but also with the right hand, because C, you got to watch C, right? You can't slam into it with too much force. You have to kind of get it just right. So it is kind of one of the hardest rolls on the fiddle. Okay, but that's how I deal with it. I crank that hand right over there so that the fingers are above the string, and then I can tickle that G, no problem. Okay, hopefully that'll help. Anybody else having any problems with any of the rolls? Okay, well, you know what that means. A little bit faster. So now we're going to do it kind of like this. Okay, let's do it. And remember, this is just target practice. You're just trying to hit most of the ducks. A 1, 2, 3, go! How's the success rate at that speed? Anybody having any trouble? Now's your chance to get help. Because if not, we're just going to go faster. All right, well, let's give it a go then.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still struggling to get the rhythm right. And I'm hearing you and I'm listening to you. And I still find myself fumbling a lot.
Can you try a few of them for me there, Jocelyn? I'll see what's out of place in terms of rhythm.
Okay. It's really slow.
Okay. I can hear the problem right away, and it's the same one that I had when I was trying to learn rolls. You're trying to do them too early.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So the rhythm of the roll, and you know, Kevin Burke said it best. A roll is an ornament, and you have to put the Christmas tree up before you put the ornament on it. So you got to play that note, and he used to say for the length of an eighth note at least, which I think is really good advice. So you play that melody note for the length of an eighth note, and then you start the finger work. So it goes yum diddly yum. See that? So you play, so for the first roll of the exercise on the A, you play that A for at least an eighth note, and then you do your finger work. Now, and that's all I want you to do for now. Once you do get that, you'll start to be able to speed your bow up just before the finger work. And that'll make the finger work pop out in a chirpy way. Okay? But for now, you're still working on choreography. You're still working on what happens when. Now, you got the what happens, you just need to work on that when. In my opinion, listening to you do it, all you have to do is wait a little longer before you start that finger work.
Okay. Okay, great.
One other thing to remember there, Jocelyn, just listening to you do it, and I realize this might be a common danger, is you don't need to hear all the pitches really, really clearly around that melody note. Because when we get these rolls really happening, we're flicking, right? We're flicking them fingers, and you're getting the little chirps, not really the pitches. Okay, so you don't have to, when you're playing the first finger roll, for instance, you don't have to like put full pressure on the note above, for instance.
Oh,
You just flick it. You just kind of, I have this move where it's almost like a pluck. See that? And and I glance the note on the way by. See that? Now, I don't know if you ever did this when you were a kid. I was doing it with my kids on the weekend. You ever do that where when you put your finger like this, right, the end of it becomes right floppy, okay? And I use that. You can almost see it. You can't really. I tried to get people to see it, but when I bring that finger down, you can't see it. But when I do that, the end of it flops down a little bit like that, almost like a piano hammer, you know? And I just let that touch the string just slightly, and I got a nice chirp. See that?
Okay, so I'm enunciating each note too much.
Yeah, and you don't need to, because when you're doing a real roll, let me just play this scale a little bit faster, and you'll hear what I mean. See that? So you're not hearing those pitches. All of these Irish ornaments are the same in that way. You're not hearing the note above for a grace note. You're hearing the interruption of the note that you're playing. See that? And it makes a little chirp, and that's what we're going for with the ornaments. We're going for these little chirpy sounds that basically mimic the flute or the pipes, and then, rather than the note. So that would be the classical, right? The classical, they call it a turn, and it sounds like this.
Right.
See that? And that is where you're playing the notes, but we're not doing that. We're doing these little chirps. See that? And that's the grace note. Now, over in Ireland, when they teach rolls to kids, they split them up. First, you learn the grace note, the note above. And that's what I just did a bunch of. See that? And I'm doing that move that I told you about there. And then they teach the single cut. Because that's an ornament on its own, right? Same with the grace note. And then they put them together. Okay, so you might really benefit from just a little bit of this here. And I get people to work on that all the time. Just figuring out how much you can touch the string, just enough to get a chirp and no more. Okay? One thing I did myself when I was learning, because we don't do a lot of this left hand stuff in Cape Breton, eh? Most of the stuff we do in Cape Breton is with the right hand, the ornaments. So I had to kind of learn it. So I remember sitting down and doing this. Holding my finger on top of the string so that I can still feel it vibrate. It's like I can feel that vibrating on my finger. It feels like a dying bug on my finger, just buzzing away there, right? And so now I know that I can touch the string this much and it still doesn't interrupt the sound. So now I know that a little tiny more breath of pressure there, and I will. You hear that? See that?
Mm.
So I kind of investigated it in that way to feel how much I need to touch the string to make that ornament, and I do no more than that.
Just a bare touch.
A bare touch, yeah. I think you would really benefit from working on that, because it's kind of fun to work on. Like, you're feeling the string and you're listening to your sound and you're trying to get that chirp, and I think you would really get it. So I think, first of all, choreography, you got to wait longer. And second of all, a little bit of work on those. Actually, you know what? Let's all do some grace notes right now, okay? We'll start on the A string. Here's how I do it. So we're going to use a B as our melody note, and it sounds like this. So you got to start your bow first. If you do it all at once, it sounds terrible. So you start your bow, put your grace note as you go by. Okay, well that's good for that one. Let's do some E ones. I don't know about you guys and your fiddles, but that feels a lot different for me because that D string is big, heavy, and loose. So it takes a little bit more of an effort to stop it from vibrating with my finger. See? So I'm touching it a little heavier than on the A string. So let's do some more of those E ones. Feeling good? Getting a little bit of response there? Okay, now let's do the second hardest one, which is the F one. Now you might notice that I'm approaching it a little bit differently than the other ones because the E string is really tight, tighter than all the other strings put together. I cannot do my grace note and then come up off of it upwards because my finger cannot outrun that string. It sticks to my finger and makes this. See? Horrible. Just horrible. So I got to go off to the side. See that? I glance it and I get off, and then the string can sound. It's not stuck to my finger. So off to the side is how I do the E. And it works really well. It's really reliable. Oh, the hands that I see are looking great, guys. Really, really good. Now, let's do the absolute hardest one, the G string. Now, the G is hard, obviously, because it's the biggest, heaviest, loosest string. And so to stop it from vibrating, you got to do the most effort. And I got to fairly hammer on that thing. I'm hammering on that string, okay? Especially since these strings, these Il Canon strings are very big. And so it needs a lot of effort to stop that. The other problem with the G string is your bow. So because the G string is very susceptible to too much weight on the bow. So you really need to get out of the G string's way because it's so big and heavy. So you got to move that bow. You got to move it without hesitation, lightly. Otherwise, it sounds like this. You hear that? So easily. Especially when you're doing this finger work, the tendency is to bear down on the bow a bit. So you want to fight that with every fiber of your being. You need lightness and speed on the G string. Okay, so there's your grace notes. Everybody feeling better about your grace notes?
I never thought about there being a difference on different strings.
Oh my God, Janet.
It makes sense, but
yeah,
I mean, I guess I do it, but I never thought about it.
Yeah, it's
interesting. Thank you.
No problem. It's a good thing to think about because it makes things a little easier. Like it takes some of the fighting out of what you're doing if you just understand that about this, especially the E string. Yeah. The other thing about the E string is that it has no winding.
Right.
So it's a bare piece of metal. So it's basically I call it a trophy wife. It's really skinny, really high strung, and even if you breathe on it too much, she squawks at you. You know what I mean? So you got to use very gentle and lots of speed on that E string with almost no weight at all. Okay? That's with your right hand. And then with the left hand, you'll discover more. But it does make your job easier once you understand a few of those differences.
Okay? Thank you.
No problem. Now that we've practiced our grace notes and everybody seems pretty pleased with their grace notes, which is great, let's do the roll on a major scale again and see if it's any better. I'm going to drink some water. All right. My arm's getting sore too. Okay, here we go. So it's going to be about this speed. 1, 2, 3, go! How did we get along at that speed? Not bad? A little bit better for you, Jocelyn? You have some remedial work to do with that timing thing. That's going to take a little bit of doing to get the timing, but I think it'll all fall in once you get the timing right. Okay? Now, let's try it a bit faster just to say we did, okay? And this is just target practice. So, like, just let me know how many ducks you missed at the end. That's all you got to do. You don't have to get them all. So it's going to be like this now. All right. 1, 2, 3, go. How is the target practice at the fast? Did you get a few of the ducks? That's great. Okay, and just do it in that way. You'll get more as you go along. You'll get them all by the end. It was exactly the same for me. Same experience trying to learn these roles in dressing rooms in England right before the show. You know, exactly the same. Eventually, I had them all. And this way, when you're working on them in a major scale, you end up working on all the roles. We'll do it in A major as well. And between G and A, you pretty well get good at all the roles that there are. The only ones you're going to miss there are F natural and B flat. But we don't use those very often, I have to say. So between G and A, you pretty well have all the roles. Now, Dr. O'Neill's. Now, we just learned this one last week, so she's still pretty fresh. Okay? I'm going to get the music on my screen so I don't improvise, which I have a very, very bad tendency to do. Right to the point where I get dirty looks from Pat Orso if I do it. So I really try not to. Okay. But then it's not my fault, because if Brian Tahany is at the session as well, then I have no hope of not improvising. It's like we start feeding off of each other, and the next thing you know, it's like insane. It's not my fault. It's totally his fault. Okay, so I got her up on my screen now. And we're going to try playing it really slow. Does anybody have any questions about it before we start? So I remember I wrote all the roles in there where we would do roles. And actually, Janet, I'm going to send you what we did here, because I realize you don't have that, and I've written them all in where they should go. Okay, let's see here. Doctor.
Thank you.
No problem. And like I said, this is the best one I could find on thesession.org. It's actually really good. I was pleasantly surprised at this one. It seems quite complete. There was only a couple of things, and I made the changes. There's only a few changes, and I made them to the copy that I sent you. Okay? Yeah. And the only changes, I'm always telling these guys, you go to sessions regularly, so this particular version on thesession.org is really close, like really close. But there's a couple of things that kind of nobody does. You know what I mean? Like around here anyway. Maybe in other cities they might do it a bit different. But this version that I sent you would be indicative of what you would hear around here for sure. Okay?
Perfect. You've got a copy with the roles written in?
Yeah? You don't got that?
No, mine's just plain.
Oh, you know why? Because I did it during class last week.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no problem. So now I'll send it out to everybody because
Okay.
it does have the not only the rolls but also the changes, the few changes there as well. So let me just get that out to everybody here. Susan, and oh, here everybody pops up. Isn't that nice? Jeez, I don't know what I'd do without Eric Schmidt and Google, even though, you know, he's a megalomaniac or whatever. Fee, Melanie, and Sherry. What happened to Sherry? Sue. That's everybody. Okay. I have just sent it out with the rolls written in. Now, let's just try playing it. Never mind about the rolls. If you get them, that's great. If not, just play the bare bones melody, because we do have to learn the tune after. Ooh, that looks like good yoga there, Elizabeth. I'm jealous. I gotta do my workout after the class tonight. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna go slow, guys, because this is brand new. So it's gonna sound kind of like. Kind of like that. Is that gonna work out? Nice and slow? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. breather. Stretch out the arm if you need to. Anybody having any problems with any parts of that tune? Misunderstandings, questions, queries, concerns, or complaints about any of the parts of Dr. O'Neill's? It's pretty straightforward, except for all the ornaments, right? That's why we're doing it. It's a chance to do all these ornaments.
Sometimes I find when you have one ornament following another, like right away, that I lose my time even more. So I have to practice that even more. But
yeah,
like I have to, I don't know.
Now, I'll tell you exactly. I know. And it's because I went through it too. Now, the way that I noticed this phenomena was when I was playing this tune, and it's a Kevin Burke tune, and there's a double roll in it. I can't remember the name of the tune now, but right in the middle there, you got to play two of the same roll in a row. And they call that the double roll. And I think Kevin Burke invented it. And the problem that I had with it was cutting off the second roll every time. So the first one would be nice and the right length and the right rhythm. The second one, I'd jump the gun. Every time. That was my problem. Okay? So the second roll, the one that comes right after, you have to lengthen even more. Okay? Because it wants to, your hand wants to get that out of the way. That's the thing I find when there's multiple ornament cluster. Your hand wants to get it all out of the way, and it's not patient enough. So it has to go through the exact same timing for each one. Guaranteed, you're cutting off, when there's two in a row, you're cutting off the second one a little bit short at the beginning. Okay? Guaranteed. And we'll try, when we try it again, see if that helps. Good point. Glad you brought it up. Anybody else have anything brilliant like that to bring up? Insight or something? All right. You know what that means. Less talky, more play. Oh, jeez. Okay, let's do it. So we're going to do it twice again. This time we're going to do it same speed first time, second time I'm going to push you just a tiny bit. You're not even going to notice. Okay, here we go. Ready, and... How did we do with the faster there, ladies? Was it okay? Yeah, that's great. That's the nice thing about this tune. Once you get the hang of it, it's not hard to go faster. Everything will be in place, and it's actually, you're going to find it easier to go faster. Okay? Now, I wouldn't mind having one more crack at it at that speed. So just shake it out if you have to or whatever. And we'll try it one more time at that speed. Okay? So a little bit faster, but I felt like people needed a left hand. I don't know about you guys, but fiddle players or violinists, either one, have either two things. My brother Sean here, it's his right arm that bothers him. And he's gotten tendonitis in it many times. A couple times he had his arm in a sling for like 2 weeks. He couldn't even play. For me, it's the left hand. Always the left hand. It gets stiff, it gets sore, it gets cramped. And so I have to do these things to keep it working. This, I got to do a bit of that. I do yoga. This is like Elizabeth's doing there. I do that with the wife. We did it during January. We did a 30-day yoga challenge with Adrienne. We did it every day. We didn't quite get it every day, but most days. And that was really good. But whatever you got to do to loosen it up, because every fiddle player I know either has this problem or this problem. Most of them, it's the left. It's most of them. Anyway, let's do it one more time. Then we're done. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there you go. So you have lots to work on. Wise maid, nice and slow all week, not attempting to go fast at all. Okay? Drunken landlady and the maid behind the bar, you're going to practice 75 in the hopes that we're going to try 85 next time. Roll on the G major scale. You know now the timing, the approach, the ways to practice the pieces of the roll. So you go back to those if you need to, and go do that scale. See if we can get it happening. And then Dr. O'Neill's is the last of your practice, okay? Just going through it with the choreography in place. That's all I want for now. And we'll keep speeding it up. All right? Good plan, everybody?
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Oh,
Thank
glad you liked it, Janet. Great to see you, and hope you keep coming back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
See you
Good
guys.
night, Dan.
Night,
Good
night,
night,
night.
everybody.